African gods. What if everything you know about God is only half the story? Before Yahweh, ancient African gods ruled the earth, their power so great it was erased from history. Are you ready to uncover a truth that could change how you see faith forever? Stay with us, this journey will shake your soul. Picture a time before the Bible, before churches, before the world as we know it. A time when African gods, powerful, vibrant, and deeply connected to humanity, reigned over the earth. These weren't just myths whispered around fires. They were real forces, creators of life, keepers of justice, and guardians of the human soul. Names like Olorun, Obatala, and Shango carried the weight of centuries, their stories woven into the heart of African civilizations. But something happened. Their voices were silenced, their temples destroyed, their wisdom buried. Why? Because their power threatened the rise of new religions and empires. Today, we're diving into a forgotten spiritual legacy, a truth so profound it could rewrite the history of faith. Are you ready to question everything? The gods before time. What if the gods you've never heard of held the secrets to humanity as true beginnings? Long before monotheism shaped the world, African peoples worshipped a pantheon of deities who were as real as the rivers and skies. In the Yoruba tradition, Olorun, the supreme creator, breathed life into existence, sending the Orishas, divine beings like Obatala, who molded humans from clay, and Shango, the thunderous lord of justice, to guide the world. These weren't distant figures. They walked among people, their presence felt in every storm, every harvest, every heartbeat. The Bantu, Nile, and Yoruba peoples saw the divine in everything: trees, rivers, the wind itself. Every ritual, every song, every dance was a conversation with these gods, a bridge between the human and the sacred. These gods weren't just stories, they were forces of balance, teaching humanity how to live in harmony with nature and the cosmos. Obatala shaped not just bodies but destinies, ensuring each soul had purpose. Oshun, goddess of sweet waters, brought love and fertility, her energy flowing through rivers and hearts. Oya, mistress of storms, wielded the winds, guiding the spirits of the dead. This was a spirituality alive with meaning, where every part of life was sacred, every moment a chance to connect with the divine. But then something changed. These gods, once revered across vast kingdoms, were pushed into the shadows. Why? What was so dangerous about them? The war of beliefs. Why would anyone want to erase gods who taught humanity to thrive? What truth were they hiding? As monotheistic religions like Christianity spread, the ancient African gods were labeled pagan, their rituals called witchcraft. This wasn't an accident. It was a calculated effort to rewrite spiritual history. Empires and religions wanted control, and to control a people, you must control their beliefs. African spirituality was too powerful, too free. It didn't need priests or temples to connect with the divine. It lived in the land, in the rhythms of drums, in the wisdom of elders. This direct link to the sacred threatened those who sought to centralize power. The Bible itself hints at this struggle. Passages mention the gods of the nations, deities Yahweh competed with. Could these be echoes of Olorun, Ra, or Isis? Scholars suggest the story of Yahweh didn't emerge in a vacuum. It was shaped in a world where many gods were worshipped. As monotheism took hold, these older deities were demonized or erased, their stories rewritten to fit a new narrative. In ancient Egypt, gods like Ra, the sun, and Osiris, lord of the afterlife, represented creation and resurrection. Their ideas of Ka, the vital energy, and Ba, the spiritual soul, mirrored African beliefs about the divine within us. Yet as new faith spread, these concepts were buried or reinterpreted. This wasn't just a spiritual shift, it was a war. Those who won decided which gods would be remembered and which would be forgotten. The losers, the African peoples whose sacred traditions were branded as evil, their temples destroyed, their stories silenced. But why go to such lengths to erase them? Was it because these gods carried a truth too powerful to control? The forbidden power. What if the real danger of these gods was their gift, a power that could free us from fear and control? African spirituality wasn't just about worship, it was about empowerment. The Orishas taught that the divine wasn't far away in some distant heaven. It was here in the earth, in the rivers, in you. Every ritual was a reminder of your connection to the universe. Drumming wasn't just music, it was a portal, its rhythms shifting consciousness, linking the physical and spiritual. When a hunter entered the forest, he asked the spirits for permission. When a child was born, elders prayed to the gods to guide their path. This wasn't superstition. It was a way of life, a belief that everything is alive with sacred energy. This wisdom was a threat. If you know you can connect with the divine directly, through a song, a dance, a moment of silence, what need is there for a church or a priest? If you understand the power within you, why bow to an empire? The rituals of African gods weren't just ceremonies. They were tools to awaken the soul. They taught healing with herbs, reading the stars, and harnessing the energy of words and sounds. This knowledge was so profound that colonial powers and religions worked tirelessly to erase it, labeling it dangerous, pagan, forbidden. But the truth couldn't be fully destroyed. Even during the African diaspora, when millions were torn from their homelands, the Orishas survived. They hid in new forms, disguised in Catholic saints, woven into music, dance, and stories. In Brazil, Cuba, and Haiti, Yoruba traditions like Candomblé and Santeria kept the gods alive, their energy pulsing through songs and rituals. The drums still beat, the dances still called to the divine. These gods refused to be forgotten, their power too resilient to fade. Echoes in the Bible. Could the Bible itself hold clues to these forgotten gods? Are we reading a story rewritten to hide the truth? The Bible doesn't exist in isolation. It was written in a world where African gods were already ancient. Some scholars believe its stories carry traces of older deities, reworked to fit a monotheistic narrative. References to other gods, or spiritual conflicts, hint at a time when Yahweh was one of many divine forces. In Psalms, we read of gods among the nations, rivals to the Hebrew God. Could these be Obatala, Ra, or Anansi? The creation stories of Genesis echo African tales of a creator shaping the world from chaos, a balance between heaven and earth. In ancient Egypt, the concept of Ma'at, cosmic order and justice, mirrors the Yoruba belief in balance maintained by the Orishas. The idea of a soul's journey after death, seen in Osiris's underworld, feels eerily similar to African ancestral worship. Were these stories borrowed, adapted, or erased to elevate one god above all? The Bible's silence on these connections raises questions. Why were some narratives preserved while others were condemned? Was it to control the spiritual story, to ensure one truth drowned out all others? This isn't just history, it's a cover-up. The winners of this spiritual war shaped how we see God, faith, and the universe. But the echoes of those ancient gods remain, hidden in scriptures, in rituals, in the very way we feel the divine. They're a reminder that faith was once plural, vibrant, and deeply personal. The resilience of African spirituality. What if these gods never left us? What if their power still flows through our music, our dreams, our very souls? Despite centuries of persecution, African spirituality endures. The Orishas live in the diaspora, their names whispered in rituals across the Americas. In every drumbeat, every dance, every offering, their energy survives. When you hear a rhythm that stirs your heart, when you feel a connection to something ancient, that's the voice of these gods. They're in the songs of Afro-Brazilian samba, the call and response of spirituals, the vibrant festivals of Haiti. They're in the stories of Anansi, the trickster god, teaching wisdom through cunning. This resilience is a testament to their power. No empire, no religion could fully erase them. Why? Because these gods aren't just figures in a myth. They're forces of nature, of life, of the human spirit. They teach that the divine is in everything, the wind, the rivers, the fire in your soul. When you feel a sudden courage, an intuition guiding you, a moment of connection to something bigger, that's their presence. They remind us that spirituality isn't confined to a church or a book. It's alive, pulsing, waiting for us to listen. The power within you. What if the real secret is that you carry the divine within you? What if these gods are waking you up to your own power? The greatest threat of African spirituality is its truth. You don't need permission to connect with the divine. The Orishas taught that every person is a spark of the sacred, linked to the universe's energy. This is why their stories were buried, because they empower. They tell you the divine isn't out there, controlled by priests or kings. It's in you, in the earth, in the stars. Every ritual, every prayer, every drumbeat was a reminder, you are enough. This truth terrified those who sought control. A person who knows their own power doesn't bow to fear or manipulation. They don't need a middleman to reach God. African traditions showed that faith is a living experience, felt in the body, heart, and soul. When you dance to a drum, when you honor your ancestors, when you listen to the wind, you're touching the divine. This is the forbidden power, the knowledge that you are never separate from the sacred. Even today, we see this wisdom resurfacing. People are turning to meditation, holistic healing, and nature-based rituals, unknowingly echoing African traditions. Walking barefoot on the earth, lighting a candle for peace, feeling the rhythm of a song. These are ancient practices, rooted in a spirituality that sees the divine in all things. The gods never left. They're waiting for you to remember. A call to awaken. Are you ready to hear the gods' voices? Are you ready to reclaim a truth that's been hidden for too long? The story of these African gods isn't just history. It's a call to wake up. Their erasure wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate attempt to sever humanity from a deeper truth. But that truth is still here, in the dreams that stir you, the intuitions that guide you, the moments when you feel connected to something vast. The Orishas, the gods of Egypt, the spirits of the Nile. They're not gone. They live in the collective unconscious, in the rhythms of life, in the courage to question. Why were these gods silenced? Because they taught us to trust ourselves. They showed us that faith isn't about following rules. It's about feeling the divine in every breath. The church, the empires, the systems that rose to power couldn't allow that. A people connected to their own spiritual strength is a people no one can control. That's the secret they buried, that's the power they feared. But you can reclaim it. Listen to the drumbeat in your heart. Feel the energy in the world around you. Question the stories you've been told. The gods are still speaking. Through music, through nature, through the quiet voice within. They're asking you to remember who you are, to see the divine spark you've always carried. This isn't just a story, it's a revolution of the soul. The truth awaits. The gods are calling. Will you answer, or will you let their voices fade into silence? This journey into Africa's forgotten gods is more than a history lesson. It's a mirror. It shows us what's been hidden, what's been taken, and what we can take back. The Orishas, the gods of Egypt, the spirits of the ancestors, they're not relics of the past. They're alive, their energy flowing through every part of life. They remind us that the divine isn't locked in a church or a book. It's in the rivers, the storms, the fire in your soul. It's in you. So, what will you do with this truth? Will you keep believing the stories you've been told, or will you seek the ones that were buried? Will you listen to the gods' whispers in your dreams, in the wind, in the rhythms that move you? The power of these ancient deities isn't gone. It's waiting for you to claim it. Comment below. Do you feel this power stirring in you? Write, "I awake," if you're ready to see the truth. Share this video to spread the message and subscribe so we can keep uncovering the mysteries they didn't want you to know. The gods are still here, and their story is far from over. Are you ready to listen?